I don't usually believe in urban legends, but something happened last week that's still making me question my sanity. I feel like I'm writing the beginning of some horror story, but this was real, and I still get chills thinking about it. It was a Wednesday night, almost midnight, and I was on my way home after a brutal shift. I was exhausted, barely thinking, just putting one foot in front of the other along this empty, dark street. That's when I saw him. There, was a guy who looked exactly like me. Not just in his eyes, but he looked exactly like me. My heart stopped. And even the same worn-out sneakers. Every single detail matched. I froze, mind racing with that old legend about seeing your doppelgänger meaning certain death. And this guy was looking right at me. A sense of dread filled me, and without even thinking, I took a step back. He mirrored me, taking a step back too, his expression just as shocked as mine. That's when I panicked and took off running. I sprinted down the street, taking random turns, and I swear I could hear footsteps behind me. I glanced back. He was following me, just as fast. Ready to explode. Finally, I ducked into a side alley, pressing myself against the wall, trying to catch my breath without making a sound. Peeking around the corner, I saw him stop at the entrance of the alley, scanning the shadows like he was looking for me. He was panting too, hands on his knees, but his expression wasn't angry. He looked as freaked out as I felt. I was just about to make a break for it when he called out, his voice echoing in the quiet alley. "Hey! Wait!" he shouted, sounding way too much like me for comfort. I didn't answer, hoping he'd give up and leave. But he didn't. He took a step into the alley, scanning the darkness, and I swear my heart was pounding loud enough for him to hear. "You look exactly like me, don't you?" He called, his voice shaky but calm. Against my better judgment, I stepped out from the shadows, keeping a safe distance. I mean, if he was about to do something crazy, he'd have done it by now, right? But still, who was he? We stared at each other across the alley, both of us breathing hard, the air thick with tension and this unspoken question hanging between us. He looked like he was as freaked out as I was. His hand trembled as he pointed at me and said, This is insane. What's going on here?" I didn't know what to say, so I asked, "Why are you following me?" He looked down, shifting uncomfortably, before saying, "I could ask you the same thing. I was just heading home when I saw, well, me. I thought I was losing my mind. Then you ran, and I couldn't just let you go without figuring this out." We stood there, sizing each other up, both clearly terrified, yet strangely curious. And then he laughed, this weird, shaky laugh that I almost joined in on. It was ridiculous. Here I was, facing someone who looked exactly like me, and we were both too freaked out to even approach each other. After a few moments of awkward silence, he spoke again. "Listen, I don't want to fight you. I'm just trying to understand what's going on. I'm not explaining. I'm still not talking about that. I stepped forward cautiously, keeping my eyes on him. He didn't move. Instead, he put his hands up like he was trying to show he wasn't a threat. "You got a name?" I asked, breaking the tension a little. "Adam," he replied, then paused. "You, Alex?" We just looked at each other, the whole situation starting to feel surreal. Here I was, face to face with someone who looked, dressed, even sounded exactly like me, and we both had no idea why. The mystery started to nag at me, and against all reason, I found myself wanting to know more. Finally, that's the one question that was bugging me most. "Where are you from, Adam?" He mentioned a town a couple of hours away, the same town where my mom grew up. My stomach twisted. I asked him about his family, and we started talking, cautiously at first, then faster, each answer making things stranger. Then he said something that threw me completely. "I was adopted," he muttered, as if he hadn't intended to share that. A weird shiver ran through me. "I was adopted too," I said slowly, my voice barely a whisper. The realization hit us both at the same time. The look on his face was my exact mirror. We were brothers. We'd been separated at birth, adopted into different families, and now, somehow, the universe had collided to bring us to the same street on the same night. He must have sensed I was overwhelmed because he reached out, laughing a little in disbelief. "Man, this is insane. I thought I was losing my mind when I saw you." I couldn't help but laugh too, the tension breaking as I realized just how absurd the whole thing was. Here I was, running from my own brother, convinced I was about to be erased by some supernatural clone. We talked for a while, piecing together our lives and sharing stories, both of us stunned at how similar we were despite the years apart. We ended up sitting on the curb, swapping stories, laughing like maniacs at how ridiculously small the world could be. I felt this strange sense of connection, like finding a missing puzzle piece I didn't even know was missing. Before we parted ways, Adam turned to me with this mischievous grin and said, "So, next time you see someone who looks like you, maybe don't assume they're here to replace you." I rolled my eyes, giving him a playful shove. "And next time, just say hi. Save me the heart attack, will you?" We laughed, exchanged numbers, and walked off in opposite directions. I went home that night with a story I'd never be able to tell, but also with the strange comfort of knowing I wasn't alone. I felt like the universe's weird way of telling me that life can still street. Don't run. Turns out, sometimes your doppelganger is just a long-lost twin brother with a terrible sense of timing.